Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 116. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me is the almost birthday boy, Major Montemayor.
Hello.
So what are you turning now, like 22?
Oh, God, I wish. I don't even want to talk about my age. Can we go on to the next topic?
Well, let me just wish you a happy birthday before I don't see you for 10 days, probably. So, guys, if you're watching the YouTube show, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and if you can, hit that share button so we can get it into as many hands and eyes as possible. If you guys want to check us out on social media, check out our Linktree link that's in the description. That'll take you to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all that good stuff. And if you guys are interested in listening to the audio-only version of the podcast, we do offer that at Anchor, and from Anchor, you guys can check out whether it be Spotify or iTunes or something like that. And just a reminder, guys, Christmas is almost here. If you guys are still interested in getting Last Call Gaming merchandise, you guys can check out the link in the description at tpublic.com. And right now, they're doing a rush order that if you order anything, I believe today or tomorrow, they guarantee they'll get it to you before Christmas. So that's not bad.
And I personally wouldn't endorse anything that I wouldn't use or wear myself.
Oh, dude, I love this sweater.
But these are actually some of my favorite sweaters that I have. My girlfriend has one too. They're crazy comfortable, and they're a lot more comfortable than some of the sweaters I paid like higher price for.
Yeah, so good prices, and check it out, guys. You'd help support us. So before we get into the show, guys, we like to drink beers around here, and I actually got to pick this one out. This is...
Surprised you didn't go with the Milwaukee's Best this week.
Oh, dude, this is a lifesaver compared to last week's beer. So this is Flyjack. I've never heard of it, but it's from the Firestone Walker Brewing Company, who are the guys that make the 805 beer, which our friend Denny loves. Solid beer. I saw Firestone. I figured I'd check these guys out.
I like good 805.
Yeah, the score they give it on Beer Advocate, which is the site we use to rate the beers, is they give it an 80, which is good. It's an IPA American, 4% alcohol. Done by Firestone Walker Brewing Company in California, United States. It's year-round, which is, another reason why it's surprising that I've never heard of it. But the notes on it say, everything you want from a hazy IPA with nothing to weigh you down. Citrus, hazy, crisp. This is Flyjack, Firestone Walker's new 96-calorie beer, maximum flavor, minimal calories, no compromises. So maybe that's why. Maybe it has been around just pretty much very recently. But yeah, when I saw the 96, I'm like, oh, maybe this is their competitor to the Michelob Ultra and all the seltzers that are fucking going crazy right now. So drinking it, I mean, it's a solid beer. I mean,
it's good.
I could have 6 of these, at a nice, comfortable birthday dinner, and I wouldn't think anything the wiser.
Yeah, this would for sure be a dinner beer. But if I was going to be like drinking all night, like having fun, hanging out, doing whatever, I don't think I would choose it for something like that.
I think I might though. 96 calories. I mean, it's lighter. It's like, because normally like Firestone, if we're comparing to like 805, that's a heavy ass beer. I don't know how Denny cruises to like a 12-pack. Like, I drink 2 at like dinner, or like, we say dinner, but I mean like going out to a restaurant, and they're heavy. This one, I mean tastes better than a Michelob Ultra to me, and it's only a calorie higher. Hey, I gotta watch this hourglass figure of mine.
I think we're going to like 2 a.m. I prefer to do like Coors Light or like Michelob Ultra, something like lighter than this, because after a while it kind of just tastes like water anyways. I feel like this just tastes like mud water.
Nice. So if you guys are drinking at home, drink along with us, and if you guys ever want to recommend a beer for us to drink on the show, just jump in the YouTube comments down below, and you can leave that right there, and we'll look for it if we can find it in our neck of the woods. Keep in mind, we're in Arizona.
It doesn't have to exclusively be a beer. If you just have some sort of drink,
yeah,
like a mixture,
throw us a cocktail. I'll drink the shit out of that.
I'll be all about that.
Nice. So before we get into our main stories, guys, we like to do what are you up to? When Andrew and I take a minute to kind of talk about what we've been playing and what we've been watching. So I'll let the birthday boy go first.
So I actually just finished Halo, so I ran through the story. I was doing side stuff along the way, and then I was like, I'll get to this stuff later. I'll come back and kind of do all the cleanup and everything. So I was able to finish it in under 8 hours without skipping cutscenes or anything like that. It was actually really, really good. A lot better than kind of maybe what I thought it was going to be. I kind of kept my expectations low because I didn't want to set them like too high, but I actually really, really enjoyed it, and I think maybe that might have been the better way to play too, because by doing that, I'm just getting like story, instead of doing all this other stuff and then coming back to a story and then doing all this other stuff and coming back, because it opens up pretty early on to not where you're unlocking, okay, here's a section. Once it opens up. You can kind of go anywhere and do whatever you want to.
These are facts.
So I really loved it. Went through, did my cleanup. So I'll just be playing multiplayer on that now until they add co-op and then go through and do like a nice legendary run or something.
Mm.
I did start Scarlet Nexus because I wanted to beat that for the end of the year. I'm not too far into it, but I'm already loving it. I feel like I was telling Craig, I was like, unless this is that JRPG I really felt like I was missing this year, I don't know if it'll make my game of the year. It is that JRPG that I was missing. As soon as I got into the combat, I'm absolutely loving it. The story's crazy, but it's almost like it feels a lot more anime than just like, like Final Fantasy story or something like that. It feels, excuse me, more like Ghost in the Shell kind of in a way. And so, and I love Ghost in the Shell, so maybe that's why I'm really like kind of vibing on it. And the music, I don't know if you listen to like a little bit of it, but it's got like these weird remixes and stuff. I don't know. It's just crazy, crazy good. And then as far as watching anything, I am going to go see the new Spider-Man. Haven't seen it yet. I'm going to go do that on my birthday. But I did cruise through the Harry Potters because I haven't seen the final two. And I had only seen, I think, what am I thinking? Half-Blood Prince like once. And now I've watched that one like 3 different times. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm liking some of these better than maybe what I remembered. I still hate when people are like, oh, I'm a Potterhead, and Harry Potter's better than Star Wars and stuff. I would never say anything like that, but it is really good.
I would say Harry Potter's...
I would go to the theme park. It's better than modern Star Wars.
Yeah, modern Star Wars for sure. The theme parks are awesome. I've actually went to them on California side and Florida side, so it's actually really fun. And I think a couple weeks ago, I just ran through all the Harry Potters, so it's good if you're doing them back to back to back to back. And yeah, a lot of fun, a lot of magic in those movies.
Hey, I feel like a schoolgirl again.
Are you a Ravenclaw? Did you figure that out?
Me? No.
Or what did Cece say she was? I'm sure Gryffindor, or she a Hufflepuff?
I told her she's a Hufflepuff. I felt like if I had to choose something, I'd probably be even Ravenclaw or Slytherin, because I'm a bully. And I feel like everyone in Slytherin's a bully.
Nice. Is that everything for you, my man?
Yeah, what about you?
So what I've been up to, so as far as what I've been watching, I feel like I've really been slacking. I have been dedicating a lot of my time to playing games, which is always good, but I like to consider myself pretty knowledgeable on movies, and the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards are coming up, and I've kind of been slipping on what the big contenders are. So I've actually went back and started checking a lot of these out. One of the movies that I started was, which is on Netflix if you guys want to check it out, which is The Power of the Dog. Never heard of it, but Kirsten Dunst is in it, and Benedict Cumberbatch is in it. And from what people are saying, it's like he might be up for an Oscar for it, and it's one of the runner-ups. But it's a slow movie, at least starting out. It's like a 2.5 hour or 2 hour movie. I've been watching it like in 40-minute, because I can put down a movie and then watch it the next day and pick right back up. I don't have an issue with that. I know a lot of people can't do that, but the big one that I watched, which is on HBO, is King Richard, which is about the father of Serena Williams,
the tennis movie,
and Venus Williams. Yeah, the tennis movie, which is awesome. A lot of people are saying this is going to be, his best performance since Ali, which I think got him an Oscar. They're saying this could be an Oscar contender. You're smiling, but I'm not sure why.
Because I told my mom we were going to go, when we went to go see Resident Evil, she's like, oh, well, what else is going on? What's that movie with, like, the castles and, like, the medieval, because there's some other, like, medieval movie that came
out. Adam Driver and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck.
Yeah, that one. And she said that looked interesting. She's like, what is that one? She was looking at the name. She's like, oh, let's go see, it's King Richard. Let's go see King Richard. I was like, I'm pretty sure that's the tennis movie, and so I just thought that was funny as shit, because that's instantly what I think of now.
It's a really good movie. It's not quite what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more about what they did as kids and then what they did as like adults, like once they transitioned into being like obviously the most successful like tennis pros ever. But it really just sticks to the kids. It's really like a 3-year kind of movie that just kind of shows from when they were practicing and starting to like how they got to where they are. So if you guys are interested in it, I can clearly see why they would put Will Smith up for this. I mean, I'd had to watch some of these other movies. I don't know if it would be mine just yet, but a lot of people are saying this is a shoo-in for him. But there's there's going to be about 5 other movies, so I'm going to look at the rest of that list and maybe probably talk about that next week if I've knocked out any more. So as far as what I did go see Spider-Man. I went to go see that yesterday because I was gonna go watch it with you when you got out of work, but I don't want to deal with spoilers, and there is a lot in this movie that could get spoiled. Andrew doesn't really care about shit like that, but like for me, if I would have heard some of the things that I now know are in this movie, I would have been pissed. And kudos to my brother Geno. He was able to go the whole distance with never seeing a Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. So he went into this thing and learned all the secrets at once. So that would have been very impressive. I think I saw the first 3 trailer spots. I didn't see the last one because I was just done. At that point, I'm like, I know I'm going to watch this. But, dude, this movie is fantastic. Next week, I'm sure once you see it, maybe we can talk about it a little bit more once we talk about what you've been up to.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
It's got everything you want in a Spider-Man movie. It does. It's got heavy emotion. It does a lot of great fan service. It tackles it in a whole new way that when you watch it, you're like, oh, wow, I can't believe like this is the direction they went. And I will give you guys this piece of advice. There's 2 end credit scenes. So stay for the one that's, in the beginning. And then at the end, there's one after the full credits. So if you guys are interested in seeing it, stay to the end. So
would you say it was better than Mysterio?
Oh, fuck yeah. It's probably my top 3. So, and it might be higher than that. I gotta reassess my whole comic book movie situation. And as far as what I've been playing, nothing new. I've just been playing more Halo. Me and Dante jump on every day.
Doing those weeklies.
We play the weeklies. Yeah, we smash out in a day. I am doing my speed run in it where you beat it in under 8 hours. But since I've already beaten it and have the skull, I get to use the bandana, which is unlimited ammo and unlimited grenades. So
just do that on easy and just cruise.
So hopefully I can beat it fairly quickly. So leave down in the comments below, guys, what you've been playing, what you've been up to, what you've been doing. And if you got any plans for the holidays, let us know. We'd love to hear about that. So moving into our main story, guys, we're going to talk about the console sales for 2021, which is mainly going to revolve kind of about next gen, which is the PSX, the Xbox Series, and then we're still going to count the Switch and the Switch OLED because it is in kind of that weird middle spot.
In between, yeah.
So starting with the article they have on The Verge, it says Nintendo Switch and the Xbox Series take top slots in U.S. console sales as shortages continue. Hardware spending is down 38% from last year, despite how many people want to buy new consoles. So just to be clear, these are the top selling spots for the end of the year. There's still been really good numbers with the PS5 and the Series X, but the main thing we're kind of tackling here is the difference between the availability and the price that you get with the Switch and the Series S versus the unavailability of the other two, which is kind of how I wanted to start asking you, Andrew. Do you think that if the Series X and the PS5 were still available, readily available, do you think that they would have beaten out the Switch and the Series S? Do you think people were looking more for the affordability? Because these both are at $299.99, which is a cheap entry point, regardless of what in the timeline you're looking at this for consoles. And then the Switch also has the appeal of the, you can take it anywhere. Or do you think the PS5 and the Series X would have taken it as far as people are like, okay, I'm ready to upgrade, it's time? Do you think if they were available, the outcome still would have been the same for this year?
Maybe, because I think the hardcore gamers are really going to get what they want, and that's sure that would have helped with some sales. But I'm sure a lot of these sales aren't from people that are like you, me, like us, anyone I'm sure who watches this channel that are like diehard. They're probably people just going to the store like, oh, my son said he wanted an Xbox. I don't know the difference between whatever. I'm just going to grab that one. Because unlike, and it is going, I think the bigger factor versus what the consoles do is going to be that affordability and availability has obviously been the biggest thing. As far as where anyone else lives, here where we live, it's been super easy to get an Xbox Series S. I see them all the time at the store. That doesn't mean that they're not selling, because when I go back into the store a few days later, they're sold out. But then somehow they get more. They're sold out. We just both went to GameStop, traded in our Xbox One X's, and they easily got us a Series S just sent out. I asked them, I was like, can you even get like an X? Is that even an option? Like, we haven't had those in a while. They haven't given us an option for that in a while, or even a PlayStation 5. But it seems like the Series S, I don't know if Microsoft just got like a better deal on the chips or what they did with their allotment. I don't know how they pulled it off, but there seems to be a lot more of those in the wild, and they are selling.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Series S uses the same chip as like the X because the PS5, the disc model and the digital model are the same machine. Just
right.
One has a drive, one doesn't. I think the S doesn't use the Series X chip. I may be completely mistaken, but I think maybe that's why the Series S is kind of still available. And one of the things I was kind of looking at it, and if you guys consider this like a flaw at all, is the Series S really just has two things that a lot of people would consider like a step backwards. And the main one would be that it's all digital. It's an only digital console. And I feel like moving forward, that's where a lot of things are moving.
I
can't remember the last time I actually bought a disc unless it's something me and you were sharing.
Right.
And like we bought Metroid together for the Switch. But the other thing is that its biggest drawback is that it doesn't do 4K, which I don't think most people, average gamers, really care about. I mean, And the other thing is most people don't have a 4K setup, a 4K TV. So I feel like the $299 price point for the S probably helped it out quite a bit. I mean, if you're into looking at the fidelity and you're looking at things like Forza, the new Forza Horizon 5, or you're playing games like Destiny, then maybe you do want the Series X and you want that 4K. Like, because if that's your go-to game every day, I could see why you'd want to get it the best way you can, upgrade a new TV on Black Friday. But, I mean, if you're not, which I think probably, more 80% of gamers are just kind of more casual or don't care about the 4K, then I think that was probably a huge selling point. I would be curious, though, in a different alternate dimension, who would have come out on top if they both would have been, if I went to Walmart and they were both side by side, what would have been, the actual pick?
I wonder how many people bought this too as like a placeholder. Like, oh, you know what? I can't get an X. I'm just going to get an S for right now.
Perfect placeholder for sure.
Because my cousin's a perfect example. I play Xbox with him all the time. His Series S has been kind of taking a shit lately. And he asked me, he's like, what's the difference? Because I told him, I was like, maybe you should just get an S, man. Because it seems like those are more readily available. I could even buy you one and ship it to you. And then you can just go on from there. He's like, well, what's the difference? I'm like, well, the only thing it doesn't do is it doesn't display in like natural 4K, but some games do have the up-res to 4K, so some things will just look maybe like a little muddy or maybe not be as good as it could have been. But if it can do, he mainly plays Call of Duty. It runs the 120. It's got like an up resolution, not a natural resolution. And for him, that's more than enough. He's like, cool, I'm sold. And he went out and just bought himself an S instead of sitting here waiting or trying to get online and race everybody else to get a Series X. I was like, yeah, that's probably the better move for you. And now even still, if you want to get an X, this is your stopgap. You can either keep it or you could trade this in, because now this is going to be more value than whatever it is you had before towards that Series X whenever that comes out. Or you could just sell it, on Facebook Market or something like that. Or, whatever.
Because Denny did the same thing. He's like, all right, I'll get a Series S and I'll wait for the X to be readily available. Dante was able to take advantage of the GameStop trading deal where you could trade in your 1X, get a $300 credit towards the S, which is $300, and then you pay the tax. And even him, when we were playing Halo, he's like, oh, I can see... he's like, because it is a next gen system, and let's not pretend it's not. It is a next gen system. It's just not as powerful as the Series X or the PS5. He's like, dude, I can instantly see a difference. I can instantly see how much faster it is. So it is a perfect system to get if you're an Xbox fan, if you're waiting to get the next one. But let me continue with the Verge article talking about the Switch, and it says. The retail sales trackers at MPD Group said console hardware sales in November have been fallen off by 38% to 883 million in November compared to the same month in 2020, which is when the new PlayStation and Xbox launched. That drop comes despite a still intense desire to obtain the systems as well as the availability of the new version of Nintendo's console. This past November, the Switch still dominated sales, and the data shows that combined, the new and old version sold 1.13 million units last month, including 550,000 in the week of Black Friday and Thanksgiving. Just like it was in October, it's the system people can actually get, and its top sales charts for 35 of the last 36 months. And I think the only month they missed is when, for some odd reason, I believe the PS5 actually sold the most, and however that happened. But I do want to shine light on the Xbox Series S as well, and this comes to us from Game Rant. It says, following Black Friday, however, it's been reported that the Xbox Series S outsold the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and all Nintendo Switch models. One theory for this jump in sales for the system is that the PS5 and Series X have been notoriously difficult to find, resulting in gaming enthusiasts picking up the only current gen hardware available. However, there's another explanation for the Series S's newfound popularity that, when looking at all the signs, could just as likely be true. People simply really like the all-digital budget console. And that's kind of what Andrew and I were saying. At $299, it is the cheapest entry point into next gen, and it does offer the next gen experience. So, I mean, hats off to both of those machines. I mean, unfortunately, not everyone could get the big machine they wanted, but these are two solid choices for, that are more affordable that you can still put under the tree this year.
I think it opens the door for a very interesting conversation, because now this is going to, are we still looking at this as, oh man, the PlayStation is still dominating the Xbox like it was last generation, or is it just supply constraint? Because there was another website that we were actually looking at too, and I don't want to. You can check it out yourself. I don't know too much about them, so I don't want to hold them for take this as the holy grail. but it's called Game Charts, and they had a whole bunch of game sales on there. But what I was looking at is, so they had the modern, what the consoles are sold now, and I think it's like, or the last time that they like checked in or guessed, because Xbox hasn't shaded their numbers in a while, but it was like 10 million to like 6 million. So PlayStation obviously being in the lead. But then it said, or however they had broke down that chart, but then it said by January, though, they expect that number to be 10 million Xbox to 15 million PlayStation. So now that changes the narrative of, oh, PlayStation is outselling the Xbox 2-1 versus no, they're catching up and they have a lead, but it's not that 2-1 lead like what you thought it was.
Yeah. So I do want to move it as you know, as happy we are for the Xbox Series S to do as well as it did and the Switch to do as well as it did. We do kind of talk about, you know, the other side is why some of these consoles are like unavailable. But before we get there, I kind of want to just kind of piggyback off of Andrew's thing. I did find this chart on Statista, if you guys are interested in checking it out. So, and this is going to be a worldwide chart from North America, Europe, Japan, and then the rest of the world, but they're showing the big numbers first. Is that collectively in 2020, the Xbox Series X and the Series S have sold 8.2 million units so far. And then the PS5 has sold 13.4 million units in 2020. So even though they aren't as...
About that 5 million difference I was just talking about.
Openly available, that's still a decent amount of players that have it. But the Nintendo Switch, that's been going on since 2017, has sold a record 92.9. And this is as of September 2021. So this doesn't include numbers for, you know, the awesome November that they just had for Black Friday moving into December. So I just got to say that it is kind of crazy to see that PS5 is still selling 5 million units more than Xbox. And you can really see it like in Japan, where PlayStation 5 is 1.1 million and it's 0.1 million in Japan for the Xbox, which is crazy that it hasn't taken off there, especially, you know, obviously not everywhere the price point matters or the availability. Some people just are waiting for what they want, and there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Some people would rather have nothing under their tree.
So I want to get into... if you guys are still looking to get them, it's not impossible. There are still a bunch of groups that pop up, or even like I've been getting emails from like Walmart and Best Buy and GameStop, kind of like a watch list.
PlayStation still sends out those reserve things.
So if you guys are looking, there's also groups though, like on Facebook, and one of the guys that caught a lot of people's eye is this guy named Amir Asaf. So let me read this real quick to you guys from CNN Business, and it says, Amir Asaf, 32, from Flushing, Michigan, runs 3 different social media pages to help gamers share tips on product availability, in addition to tweeting updates from his Twitter page.
That's really cool of him.
Dude, it's awesome. He manages a restock group on messaging app Discord and his PS5 restock updates and alerts group on Facebook with over 60,000 followers. And he says, a number of people started playing more video games during the pandemic and became interested in buying or upgrading their existing consoles. SF, I'm going to say SF, I don't know if it's exactly what his name is, told CNN Business, we're effectively seeing a situation where there's an incredibly high demand coupled with a very low supply. The PS5 shortage has been the worst one I've ever seen so far. He said scalper bots, which quickly buy items to resell at a higher price, are also making it harder for average customers this year. But here's the part that I thought was the most interesting. Analysis predicts supply chain issues will impact the gaming industry well into 2022 and possibly into 2023.
Right.
Sev said he will continue to do his best to help connect consumers with a conveyed console, which I think at this point a lot of people thought 2021, you know, you couldn't get it at the end of 2022 in November when they launched. The end of 2021 would be, by then, most people should have them.
Yeah.
We don't have to worry about, scalper bots and everything like that. I think it's kind of tough to hear that it's going to be well into 2022. So we're talking at least maybe closer to fall and then possibly 2023. I mean, that has to completely change what a lot of people's minds were. And my biggest thing is like, which I think is going to hurt it more than it's ever going to help it, is that a lot of game developers, instead of making games exclusively for the next gen, are going to keep these games back on last gen the same way Cyberpunk did. And we don't want to see another issue like that where the development gets messed up because they're still supporting, you know, the old generation. But at this point, why would you make your game exclusive if nobody has it and it's going for another 2 years?
And leave behind 70 million times $60 if you sell your game or whatever, you know, past generation.
Yeah, so I mean, what do you do? What are you thinking? Do you think people are just going to sit tight, or do you think there's going to be a miracle come the end of 2022 when we get supply restraints?
I think you're going to have to sit tight, or you're going to have to bite the bullet. This guy at my work, I don't know if I'd mentioned it before, actually just bought a PS5 from a scalper online from some website and paid like $800 for it. And I was like, yeah, man.
You paid a nice premium price, but at that point, it's almost worth it if you don't have to sit. My buddy Randy Marino just bought one from somebody, and I don't think he paid the cheapest price. I think he did the same thing. I think he paid a little higher, but it's like, now you have it. Now it's yours. So
yeah, but I mean, there's nothing else you can do. As someone, I don't sell cars or anything. I work at a car dealership, but I have to hear it all the time because we go through a similar shortage, and I have to tell. My dad was looking for a car, and I told him, I'm like, it's not the best time to buy now. It's not going to be next year. You either take whatever deals are on the table, or you're gonna have to wait till 2023.
Yeah, so it's extremely unfortunate. I mean, it's weird because it's like you got to celebrate the bad with the good, and it sucks that it's at the same time because it's great that the Switch sold a lot. That means a lot of people are going to be playing some good Nintendo games. It's awesome that the Series S sold, which means a lot of people are going to be jumping on Game Pass and playing Xbox games. It's unfortunate that everybody that wants to upgrade their system can't, and unfortunately, that may last till 2023.
I'll say, you want to know what something I have noticed that I think is a little weird too, is I have not seen a single Xbox One or an Xbox One S or I know they stopped doing the One X, but I haven't seen any of the older consoles, like how we had the you could still get a 360 for like a good long while, same with like a PS3.
Right.
I haven't seen any of those in stores at all.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it, unless I went in a GameStop where they have their used section, but I don't know if they had any, but I wouldn't blame them, or if they did, I wouldn't call it lucky because people trade them in all the time. But I've only seen new consoles in store. Yeah. I think I can't even think of seeing a PS4 last time I went into Walmart or Target.
Yeah, I mean, good point out. I never really thought about it, but I guess not. But again, that's probably why you probably aren't seeing them, because nobody can trade them in. Nobody's gonna, why would you trade in your One X if you can't get the Series X? Why are you trading in your PS4 if you can't get your PS5? This is gonna be your main console till possibly 2023. So I just gotta say, if you guys want to jump on, SF's groups, the link is in the description. But do yourself a favor, look for more things like this. There's a lot of things on Twitter that give like insight to when things are going to launch. So if it is something you're desperately looking to do, then there are ways to do it. I did it with my PS5. I was able to get it very fast off of Walmart. If it's something you don't care about, then obviously this isn't a big deal. And don't take the stress. Don't keep sitting there worried about it. If you can wait another year and a half to play some games, then do that. But if you guys are seriously interested, I mean, there's still ways to get it, and we will kind of still see that sprinkled through 2022, I'm sure.
If you're looking at something, I would highly recommend getting an S in the meantime versus waiting for the X if that's more readily available.
Yeah.
But also in the meantime, too, even though he's not there anymore, RIP to my GameStop contact. At least you got us in while you got us in. And it's stories like this.
No, I'm saying fuck him, because he still owes me for that bet for Far Cry 6. And I texted him, and as soon as he left GameStop, he went ghost on me, bro. I was like, hey, I need that 6-pack for that Far Cry 6.
He got me my Series X, so I'm not sitting here fighting fucking scalpers all the time. So he got
me mine too. So
this one's for you, man.
So guys, with that being said, jump down below. Let us know how you guys feel about the success that two consoles have had and kind of the unavailability that the other two are having. And if you guys have one, awesome. Or if you guys know any cool sites or recommendations how other people can try to find them quicker, leave those down in the comments below so other people can read that. So moving into our second story, guys, we are getting towards the end of the year. So Andrew and I kind of wanted to look at the top 10 best-selling games of 2021. And this is going to be retail and digital, and kind of just take a look at it and see if anything stands out, or is this textbook. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
So I'm going to read them all first, and then we'll kind of go back through them one by one and kind of say our thoughts and opinions. So number 1 is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War from Activision Blizzard. Number 2 is Call of Duty Vanguard, Activision Blizzard. Number 3 is Madden NFL 22 from EA. Number 4 is MLB The Show from Sony. Number 5 is Resident Evil Village from Capcom. Number 6 is Battlefield 2042 from EA. Number 7 is Super Mario 3D World from Nintendo. Number 8 is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl from Nintendo. Number 9 is Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales from Sony. And number 10 is Far Cry 6 from Ubisoft. So, I mean, we have to just kind of point out the obvious. The fact that 1 and 2 are both Call of Duties is crazy. And the fact that the new one is the second best-selling game in the year that it came out with. So Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War came out November 13th, 2020 of last year. And the new Vanguard came out September 10th, 2021. So it's not incredibly crazy because it's only been a few months. It's only had a few months to get its traction. But the fact that Black Ops Cold War from last year is still the number one selling game of this year is gnarly.
I thought I hated Cold War, but I would gladly give up Vanguard to go back to that. Vanguard is dog shit.
I was going to point this out too because I was curious. The actual games from last year, from 2020, the best-selling game last year, the best two, were Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War and Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Modern Warfare was the GOAT, though.
It's kind of weird. Activision and Blizzard have Call of Duty, and it's not the best-selling game of the year. It's the two best-selling games of the year, and at least the only ones I checked were this year and last year. But a lot of people are always like, "Oh, they need to stop annualizing them. It needs to, they need time to develop."
Buying them?
But yeah, if you're showing me that in 2020 that their only competition for the number one spot is themselves, then there's no way in hell these things are gonna stop being annual. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. As someone that plays a lot of Call of Duties, I mean, you can't argue the math. But, I mean, is it something you'd want them to slow down on?
It's a bad thing for us gamers. I mean, I personally bought it, but that's because me and Craig played it, so we could talk about it on the show. So we're different. If I wasn't doing the show, I would not have bought this game. This game is broken. It is terrible. They even have, like, a new fucking Krampus skin where it's almost like your dude's wearing, like, a bull skull with, like, horns or something like that. That if any one person is wearing that in your lobby, it crashes the whole fucking lobby for everybody and kicks it out, on top of the many, many other issues, on top of the fact that they're bringing those issues into Warzone. And Call of Duty's the worst. I thought it was bad. I would rather go back and deal with the cheaters than deal with this bullshit. That's how, like, bad it is for me. That, I mean, they're just making money off of it because they have anybody who's going to go out there and buy it. It's arguably the most popular game. But I'm hoping that maybe somehow they're going to do what they did before. Because when they did Modern Warfare, not to be confused with 4, but the 2019's Modern Warfare, that game was absolutely fucking amazing. That game won awards because it deserved awards. It had an amazing story, the sound design, everything about that game was great. And that's what led into Warzone. And that's when that game was absolutely peak. And that game deserves the praise that it gets. Whereas everything else since then has just not been. So if I have to wait through 3 annualized games just to get another fucking good game that's had time to bake, then I guess whatever, but I'm not going to stop calling it dog shit along the way.
Yeah, because again, you can just, kind of wait for which developer you like, because they do a cycle of who makes it. And Black Ops Cold War was done by Treyarch, and I know they had help with Raven Software and Beanox, where Vanguard was simply just from Sledgehammer Games. So you really just kind of got to look at who's making it and if it's the right one for you. But yeah, there's no arguing that they've been top 2 every, for the last 2 years. I don't see it ever, or at least slowing down anytime soon, of why they wouldn't make another one every year. So
I want to say Call of Duty's probably been the number one. I don't know if there's been a game that sold more except for maybe Grand Theft Auto, the year that Grand Theft Auto came out. Maybe. I'd have to look up like the stats, but generally Call of Duty's like the number one game every year.
Yeah. So moving into number 3 and the number 4 spots are sports titles, which is, that sounds about right. Sports games are outside of shooters. I would say sports games are pretty much the next best-selling
always guaranteed
genre, and that is going to be Madden NFL 22, which launched on August 17th, 2021, and then you have MLB The Show, which launched on February 20. Oh, what, did I put in the wrong one? Let me grab the date real quick. But I wanted to say the interesting thing about MLB The Show is that it was an exclusive for Sony since 2006. So this thing has been kind of a Sony exclusive, and that was their sports game. Everyone's always loved it. It always does great up until recently when they finally kind of got rid of that and became a cross-platform game, which is now on Xbox. Sony still remained the publisher. So there's games that Xbox owns that are on Sony now, like Minecraft and Deathloop this year, that are still owned by Microsoft. But I think MLB The Show is the first one where when you turned on your Xbox and started the game, it showed up the Sony logo, which is pretty crazy. And it's what I find more interesting, the fact that it hit the number 4 spot, was that this was a day and date game on the Game Pass, meaning that if you had the Game Pass, you weren't buying it. But either so many more people on Sony continue to buy that game, or or maybe both, there's just enough amount of people on Xbox who maybe don't play the Game Pass.
I don't know if it's on Game Pass anymore.
But it was day and date though. So, I mean...
I was going to say, maybe that many people loved it and got that good of a taste from playing
kept going from there.
And that could have helped boost those sales too. Like, I never would have played a baseball game, but if it's free on there, I'll try it. And if it's that fucking good, then that's one sale that they wouldn't have had.
Yeah, so then I guess I would rephrase it as it couldn't have been great for their opening numbers, month or two like that. But the fact that it's still high up there is great. Madden, we always know, is a given. I love to see MLB on there, and because last year on the 2020 chart, MLB The Show was number 18 out of 20. So now that it shot up to number 4,
now it's multi-plat, that for sure helped.
Super impressive.
That's a huge jump.
The next game I know is Andrew's favorite is Resident Evil 8 is in the number 5 spot, and I wasn't so surprised to see it on the list. I mean, it was nominated for Game of the Year. What I was surprised was just to kind of see as high as it was, beating out, when we talk about the next ones, beating out Nintendo games, beating out staple Mario games, staple Pokemon games. So great for Capcom to have a game that's so high as in the bestseller, especially being a Resident Evil title.
The Capcom is continuing, man, and that's the thing is even though it's a Resident Evil title, it's a horror game. Horror games don't generally chart that well. Not that I can really think of. I can't think of... I mean, these ones have been because they've been phenomenally well and really well done. But
they sell well, but in like a particular audience.
Not top 10 well.
No, but I mean like everyone that plays horror games will buy it. But that audience is so small compared to the vast majority that it's kind of cool to see that it hits the top 5. And it came out in May 1st, 2021. So, I mean, it had a lot of time to kind of gain some numbers, gain some traction, get good word of mouth in. Andrew told me about it. I played it next. Loved it.
Right, because usually those games, they pick up those numbers over time. So it's good to see it something like picking up like fast. And I'm really enjoying that.
Yeah, so the next game, which is, kind of the one that hurts, is Battlefield.
I'm surprised this game charted.
2042, which came out a little earlier this year, it just came out. It wasn't November.
November 19th.
So it's only been out for a month, a little over a month, or not even a month yet. And it's already number 6, which just goes to show that these pre-orders and mean something in terms of its sales, but also that people were looking forward to this game. People wanted to play the next Battlefield because unlike Call of Duty, it's not annualized. You sit around, you wait a couple years, you get it. And I mean, Andrew's the Battlefield guy way over me, but before I pass it over to him, it sucks that this game came out and it let down a lot of people, but still is in the number 6 spot. So what was your take on it?
What surprises me more about it taking the number 6 spot is that this game, like Craig was saying, it is broken. It is bare bone. It's got a lot of problems with it. I only purchased it because someone else in my family did. So, and honestly, we haven't even played it at all since we got it. But
I played the demo, and that was it.
This game had a demo, which was indicative of problems. But if you didn't want to believe that, you had the free 10 hours of EA access to play before you buy this game. So how many people bought this game without even trying that? And that's my big thing. I at least tried it, but I had other people that were buying it that I'm like, fuck, I'll have to buy it too. And then maybe we'll just play it once it gets better. But how many people bought this game after that 10 hours, or how many sales did it lose? That's why I'm so surprised to see it so high on there.
Yeah, I find it extremely crazy that Battlefield 42, a game that came out unplayable, shot that high up. And again, I mean, that just needs to show these guys that they need to take it more seriously. Like, the game has to come out. People are buying it, and it sucks when you buy, a lemon. And, and you expected gold.
I hate that it's that high because I feel like they're like, okay, well, we fucked up, but this game still charted really good. So, like, we're not going to learn our lesson, and let's just keep doing whatever.
Yeah, so the next game... that's number 7 is Super Mario 3D World, and number 8 is the Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And you had to find a Mario game on the list somewhere. I'm super surprised that it's as low as it is, and because if you look at 2020, Mario had 3 different games on there. They had Mario 3D All Stars, Super Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Ultimate. This game is a remake of a game from 2013, and they added on the Bowser's Fury part, but to me, it's a Mario game, and it's fun, and it's got everything that you need in it, but it just wasn't that fun. So it's just one of those things that there's that many Switch people out there that like this is just a staple game that you have to buy. If you have a Switch, this has to be one of the games that you own,
right,
regardless if you like it or not. Because a lot of people were giving it like a 5, a 9, an 8.7 out of 10. I was giving it like a 7. It was kind of just more of the same. I didn't really see too much innovation in it besides the added on Bowser's Fury, which really wasn't anything special. But as far as Pokemon go, I think this is just, I mean, it's the same thing they've been doing since day one. Rinse and repeat. Make an old game, make 2 of them, people are going to buy it. And then in 10 years, you make the next one. So the same as, Pokemon Red, then let's do Fire Red. It's just nuts. But I think people were excited to finally see a traditional Pokemon game finally on the Switch and being able to play it on a TV that had to do something with it. But I mean, they know that formula, and they're not changing that anytime soon.
I know people were definitely let down by Sword and Shield. That I'm not surprised Pokemon's on the list. I definitely thought it would be a lot higher.
Exactly, higher. Yeah, Pokemon should be, in my mind,
top
way
5.
higher. But maybe people are starting to get burned out by them. I mean, and maybe that's the first indication that it's not a number 3. It's finally being. But again, this game, Pokemon, only launched in November 19th, so it's only had half a month, less than that, to get as high as it did.
I'm surprised it's lower than Battlefield, and it came out on the same date.
Yeah,
and that game, at least this game, is a remake of some would consider a classic that works.
But the next one is going to be number 9, which is Miles Morales, or Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is probably the most baffling one to me because not only is it a Sony exclusive, so it's on the one platform, but it came out in November 12th, 2020.
Of last year.
So the fact that it's still a top 10 bestseller of the year, super excited for it. And obviously, they had the Spider-Man movie going for it, which again is fire. I mean, that may have bolstered sales, and people have been like, "Oh, well, let me play some more Spider-Man games." And they just did the Spider-Man Ultimate Edition, so it's the Miles Morales. But if you buy that version, it comes with number 1, so you get both games for the price of one. I don't know. I would say that's super interesting, but I'm super excited for him.
Well deserved, and I was thinking too. I wonder if this is coasting off of that Spider-Verse movie.
Oh yeah, it's got Into the Spider-Verse and it's got No Way Home, so it's just rocking and rolling. Anything else on that one?
Nah.
So the final game is Far Cry 6, which in my mind should have been a lot higher. It's cross-platform. It's got the brand behind it of being Far Cry. It's known for having excellent gameplay. It's known for having iconic villains. Again, it only came out on October 6th, 2021, but to be number 10 is kind of interesting. So I really liked it. I super enjoyed it. I don't know if it wouldn't be in my top 5, but it would be in my top 10 for the year. So at least it made the list.
Maybe people are just tired of that whole like collectathon mentality. Not that you collect anything, but that's generally what you call when you've got 40 different icons on the map that you got to go all around and do all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
and maybe had they gone with a more like bite-sized chunk, that would have fared better for him or something.
Bite-sized chunk, he says. So those are the top sellers, guys, of 2021. Let me know if you agree with it. I mean, you can't really argue it, but like, should those have been the games that people are buying? I mean, it's weird to think a lot of those all came out in October, November, and they're still jumping the charts. And yeah, I mean, it's a super. What was the most interesting one to you? I still think Miles Morales being on there is probably the most interesting one to me.
Battlefield charting blows my mind. With the state that game launched in, that's the one that surprised me the most.
Nice. So with our stories done, guys, we're going to move into ripping it up. So Andrew, riff it up on this so we can talk a little bit about your documentary.
Sure, I'll go first, and this is something else that I've been watching too. There's a new documentary that's out called Power On, and it's pretty much the story of Xbox. It's 6 episodes that are all about like 45 to 55 minutes long, and you can actually find them. I think they're in other places, but the easiest place is just to go to Xbox's YouTube, and it's actually really well done documentary. And so it's literally from the inception of when Xbox was just an idea all the way up until current affairs. And it's crazy to go back and watch it. And you see there's all kinds of people in there. And I think that's more what I'm impressed of, is they really dug deep for a lot of footage. You got people like young Cliff Bleszinski, the Sessler on there.
Kevin Pereira is on there from G4.
Even still, and then it goes back further. They just have old things of like Bill Gates.
Joseph Staten's on there.
It's just wild, all the footage and all the people that they actually got to come on board and be able to do this thing, and even to like interview them, like, hey, let me interview you 40 years later. It's crazy. It's been really good so far. I'm only on the 3rd episode. I know Craig's actually already finished it, but so far it's been great. It's been one of my favorite documentaries. I think I would put it up there, but not better than the Console Wars one that we watched, because Sega versus Nintendo is always a crazy, interesting story.
And like a cornerstone history piece where like you should know this. The success of Xbox is very fun to watch. And Andrew and I were talking earlier. It wasn't regurgitated knowledge that we've seen in 1,000 other documentaries.
That's my favorite thing.
A lot of this was like, some of it was brand new information to me, and
a lot of it is.
Yeah, there's six parts, and the ones that got my attention the most was episode 4 and 5, where the episode 4 kind of talks about the saving grace of Xbox and how Halo was like really integral to keep them afloat. But then right after that is kind of, the biggest slap in the face they took with the Red Ring of Death. So more on that if you guys want to check it out. And I think those 2 episodes alone could almost be like standalones, because they kind of go back to back. But you should watch the whole thing. And while Andrew was saying that, I just wanted to bring it up where you could watch it. It says right here that you can watch it on IMDb TV. You can watch it on the Microsoft.com, Redbox, Roku channel, and then the easiest and the most convenient is just on YouTube. So yeah, it's fantastic. If you guys have any interest in a gaming documentary about Xbox, this is easily the best one. And
I think that I wonder if they're the ones who made it. I'm not sure. But what I think I like too about this documentary a lot is that it doesn't sugarcoat anything. It's not biased. It's not like if Nintendo made a documentary about Nintendo, but cut out all the fat. Like, they literally take like you said, the slap on the face with the Red Ring, or they even start like through Xbox's dark years, and then it's like TV. They poke. I haven't made it there yet, but they're not. It seems like they're not going to skip over that, and they're literally like, yeah, we fucked up bad here. This is what we went through, and they talk about all the missteps on the way through and all their fumblings, and I really like that a lot more than them just saying like everything went perfect. Maybe a little step, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I like to see them fall and learn from those lessons and then come back.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, my riff, guys, is that Splinter Cell has announced that they are getting a remake. So this comes to us from IGN, and the article starts off saying, Ubisoft has announced that it has greenlit the development of a remake of its stealth classic, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. Announced on Ubisoft's website, the remake will be developed by lead studio Ubisoft Toronto, the developers of Splinter Cell Blacklist. It will be built from the ground up using the Snowdrop engine, which is the tech being used for the Division games, the upcoming Avatar Frontiers of Pandora game, and Ubisoft's as yet untitled Star Wars games. Splinter Cell has been something that people have been waiting for forever. If I'm not mistaken, the first one came out like in 2003. Maybe 2005 maybe, and like the last one came out in 2013. So people have been waiting for this game forever, and every rendition we get of it is like a mobile version, or he's a skin in something. And
Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, and it's been pissing people off, because Sam Fisher, who's the star in the Splinter Cell, it was back in the day was just as notorious as like Metal Gear Snake, and they were one of the guys that like kind of like put stealth games on the map. And then later on you had games like Assassin's Creed and the later Metal Gears, but they all kind of turned into like action games. The only really stealth game left is Hitman. And the fact that Splinter Cell has been dormant for so long, I like that it's coming back. I don't know if the right move was to remake number 1. It's almost like they're just following the bandwagon of everyone else. So like, oh, everybody's redoing their old games with a remake. We got Mass Effect, we've got Dead Space. Now let's do Splinter Cell. It's like, no, people want a new Splinter Cell. Like, how hard is it to just continue it on? The games are great. People want to go back and play them. But I don't know. I haven't seen it. This news that I've been reading is kind of hit or miss with people. A lot of people are like, cool, let it start something and let people re-experience, because I don't think you've ever played a Splinter Cell.
I've never played one, so I don't really have any feelings. I mean, I'm excited. I was excited when I heard it. Is that your
type of game, though? Because
because I want to play a stealth game. Yeah. I was super excited about it, because I'm like, okay, I don't feel one way or the other, but I am happy to get a return to tactical stealth espionage.
Yeah, because I wanted to pull up real quick. So there's 7 games out of the series. There's Splinter Cell, the first one, which came out in 2002. Pandora Tomorrow in 2004, Chaos Theory in 2005, Essentials in 2006, Double Agent in 2006, Conviction 2010, Blacklist 2013. So once upon a time, these games were coming back to back. I mean, there's one that has a year, but some of them are annualized, some of them are 2 years. So I'm not sure how or when Splinter Cell they thought became unimportant for people to play. Because in my mind, because I played there's 7 of them. I've played maybe 5 of them, and they're not all fantastic, but they're all worth playing and checking out.
I hear people clamor for it all the time.
Yeah, and it's a series that I don't know why it died, and I guess I can just take
like Metal Gear.
Yeah, I guess I can take the silver lining. At least they're remaking it, and maybe this will kind of spark that to get it going again, because I really would love to get back into more stealth games. Every game that I used to love that was stealth is not stealth anymore. So
right, I mean Metal Gear's gone for different reasons, but
Assassin's Creed is a straight up action adventure game.
Yeah,
it's like there's nothing in Assassin's Creed. When's the last time you stealthed around in Assassin's Creed without running up and just beating the shit out of someone?
Not especially since they tank everybody. Well, I guess in the last one I used a little bit more stealth, but that's because you have to go into the options and turn on the insta kill, which isn't on by default or anything. So you kind of have to go out of your way to get that stealth gameplay. But no, I feel you.
Yeah, so I'm super looking forward to it. I'm glad something is being done, and if it's a remake of number 1, awesome. Hopefully this leads to more projects. So let us know, guys, in the comments down below if you plan on watching Power On, the Xbox story, which is the documentary you can easily watch on YouTube.
Highly recommend it.
Or if you guys have any interest in Splinter Cell, or if this is just a waste of Ubisoft's time. I personally don't believe so. So with that being done, guys, let's move into questions of the week, and we've got 5, and they come from Vivek Joshi Pro. He loves to drop in a lot at once, so we should be able to move through these pretty quickly. So I'm gonna read them all just one at a time for you guys, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing, and then so we'll go one at a time. So he says, again, I have some questions. Number 1, if you had to live in the world of the game, what world would it be? I'm pretty sure we've answered something similar to this before. I think the easy answer would be Pokemon, because I know I can do something with Pokemon. The kind of the monkey's paw that we always kind of run into is, okay, I live in that world, but am I superpowered, or do I just live in that world? I think that's the question. That's always where we butt head, because no one ever says, if you lived in the Marvel universe, do I have a power, or am I working at LexCorp? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so I feel like that's always kind of the split hair. Was there anything on yours that you would just jump to? I think Pokemon's a safe answer.
Thinking about that, but now that you said that, I would have to say maybe like Yu-Gi-Oh, because I always thought Yu-Gi-Oh's really cool with all their 3-dimensional
no one
shit.
can tell you can't play cards.
Exactly, and you have like a little kid who could be good at cards or something like that. So I could train myself to be good at whatever, and have like these cool, crazy battles and stuff like that. So I think that would be pretty cool. And I'd have that cool fucking badass body length dual disc.
Too, yeah, because I don't want to live in God of War's world and then be the guy that lives in the village when he comes and fucks shit up.
The guy he uses as a human shield while you're walking by.
So if you want to re-ask the question where we are able to have powers in it on the next episode, I'd love to answer that. Number 2, he writes, have you ever had a crush on a video game character? Who, Andrew? As a young lad growing up playing Super Nintendo, PlayStation games, who was your crush, if you had one?
I would always go with Chun-Li, because I always think that she's absolute bae. But my favorite Chun-Li is very specific. My favorite Chun-Li is the Street Fight Alpha, where she's wearing not like her normal dress. She's wearing like a vest on top of like whatever her like leggings or whatever.
So it's not the gameplay that captivated you; it was the look.
Well, it is the gameplay. People love Street Fighter Alpha. Maybe it's the art design. She's drawn really well.
I did, because I never saw that outfit, and when I was looking through just a bunch of different,
it's cool practical outfit.
Well, because I wanted like a reminder, because my answer will never change, but I was just kind of looking through more like video game sweethearts. When Andrew was talking about that outfit, I'd never seen it before, and that outfit's actually really badass. But the one I had, and it was because it was my favorite game at the time and always will be, was Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII.
New Aerith is better.
No way. And when you see her from the original games, you can get why like, oh cool, she's a pretty girl. And then when she came out in the movie,
talking about the manual of the original game, because I know it's not the gameplay.
Yeah, I went on her polygons. And then get to see her in Advent Children, and then most recently in the Final Fantasy VII remake. I think she's absolutely stunning and remains Bay 1 to today. So
now she's top tier.
So number 3 is, has a game storyline ever made you cry?
For sure. I still cry
sometimes. Tears or bawling up?
No, like I'll literally, the end of Final Fantasy X, every time. Even now, if I go back and watch it, especially when, spoiler alert for an old ass game, but when he goes to like leave because he's got to go back because it's a dream, and she goes to hug him and falls through him, and then she says, I love you, I fucking cry every time. I'll still cry. Every time when, like, I feel like every now and then you need like a good cry. I'll go back and watch that scene because it makes me cry. But
You're tearing up right now.
outside of that would be the ending of the first Walking Dead when Lee dies.
Oh,
and you
that's
got to
a
kill
tough
him.
one.
That one fucking got me good.
I would say, because Final Fantasy VII came out when I was 10. So when Aerith dies, like, that's a tough one as a 10-year-old to be like, oh, man, like, I can't believe that. I haven't seen that in a video game before. And especially the way she dies is pretty brutal. But as far as, like, getting older, I don't know if, like, again, I don't know if anything made me cry, but definitely teary-eyed. And the most recent one I can think of was Valiant Heart, which is this kind of war game that takes place. And it's I don't know, the story this guy goes through when it's all said and done, and then the aftermath of what they kind of show what happens during like World War II.
Oh yeah, I know exactly.
You know
what
what I mean? Like
about.
I'm not bawling, but like I'm sitting there going like, ooh, ooh.
I got pretty teary-eyed for Origami King when, spoiler alert, your Bob-omb buddy sacrifices himself and he doesn't come back, because I totally thought he was, and then he's a fucking ghost and he's dead. I'm like, damn, dude, that sucked. He was so fucking cool.
That was tough. So leave yours down below because I'd love to hear it. Fourth question is, what's your favorite game genre? As a kid, easily RPGs. Like I would easily I loved everything about RPGs. I loved building a team. I loved collecting items. I loved getting weapons. I loved moving from town to town. As I get older, RPGs still my number one, but RPGs are in like everything now. Like you can take what you loved about traditional like JRPGs or Western RPGs and sprinkle them in everything. So I think now I kind of move more towards like action adventure games with RPG elements. So I think of like, or even like a little sandboxing now. I think of games like Ghost of Tsushima. I think of God of War. I think of Horizon. I think of Devil May Cry 5. Like I kind of more like the action adventure game, I think, than more of the traditional turn-based or tactile RPG.
I think when I was younger, I was more into JRPGs, and now I just don't have that kind of time for some of the longer ones. So, I mean, my favorite for a long time has been, because it's my favorite genre of movie, is horror. I think it's hard to make something that scares people and speaks to people on that. And I think it's very interesting because even though it might not have the replayability of a lot of things, it gives you a very unique experience on your first playthrough, and something that maybe you didn't find scary. I did at one point, but there might be something later for you that you found scary versus I was like, oh, whatever happened for me there. So horror for me.
Nice. And which is, I kind of thought you were going to say like a FPS or something like.
Nah.
Okay. And the final question is, do you prefer multiplayer games or to go solo?
I prefer solo. I play a lot of multiplayer games, but I do prefer the solo experience because I really enjoy the story. When I'm playing multiplayer games, I mean, it's just mindless. I'm doing whatever. Halo, Call of Duty, I'm just killing people. I have a lot of fun, and I really, really enjoy that, but I prefer the solo narrative to how I ended up there versus, the same thing over and over and over and over.
Yeah, I think solo is kind of my answer. Back when I was in high school and stuff, we played a lot of multiplayer games, a lot of Halo, and then even when like Gears of War came out, we were playing that, but solo is just the way to do it. I mean, because as you get older, man, it's harder to find. Andrew's like lucky enough that his whole clan of Montemares are like, there's like 30 of them. So when Andrew ever wants to jump online, he's always got someone to play with. As I, jump online, it's hard to kind of line up these times with people. So I can always play a good solo game. So that's probably why it'd be what I prefer. Because your answer is not what I like the best. It's what do I prefer. I prefer solo games because I can get it done on my own schedule. I can run through games. I can beat something and then move on to the next one. But lately, since I've been diving back into more multiplayers, playing Halo with Dante and Mandrew and Geno, more recently with It Takes Two, I'm finding, and I don't play hours a day like Andrew does for years. I'm getting back into more hours a day, just recently.
Bite-size,
I'm having way more fun now playing more multiplayers. But, I mean, my preferred version would just be to play it solo, beat it, Guardians of the Galaxy, move on to the next one, and, keep my life going. So, yeah.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Hey, I like that. So, guys, that is the end of episode 116. Join us next week for episode 117. And my name is Craig Perales. That is birthday boy Mandrew Montemare. And until next time, guys, cheers.
See ya.
All for this weekend.
Daddy's done already.
This week? Snap. Yep. I'm gonna do everything this weekend. Or this week.
You keep saying weekend.
This week.
It's like
I got a
I'm
whole-
blacking out some point this
I got a
weekend.
whole big week plan.
I got my
Should we
fingers
check-
in
should we
a lot
check
of
these
pies
beers?
right now.
Wait, did you take a sip?
No.
You know the rule.
He did take a sip.
No, I didn't.
That's funny breath.
I've never heard of Fly Jack. Have you? 96
No.
calories. That's a working man's thin beer. Let's get your thoughts.
Let's take a look. Well, it's different when you have chew gum too.
That's
Good
good.
for me.
Sorry, you must be the exception.
I'm
to
like
the rule.
Violet in Willy Wonka. I take it out, put it in my hey Geno, I say hey Geno,
I say,
darling.
hey,